If God is indeed the creator of the universe and capable of infinite miracles and goodness, then surely Lucifer is capable of infinite, equal, and opposite. But the big question is, did God banish Lucifer because they were more alike than God had always admitted to himself? Believe me, that's how I had reasoned it for a very, very long time. But now, I was about to find out. And I really, really wished I was wrong. How does he survive? Having said that, how do I always survive? Sheer gall and bloody-mindedness, maybe, but... No, that can't be the whole answer.
Why don't we find out?
Who said that? Hello? Okay, now I'm hearing things. Never a good sign.
It is the first sign of madness. I should know.
I know that voice. It couldn't be.
It very much is.
You? I mean, this version of you.
Oh, please, Doctor. Use my name. It would cheer me no end.
The Master. Strange thing is, I was just thinking about you.
Really? I am touched.
Your words, not mine.
But just as equally, I was just thinking about you.
I'm flattered. So, which delightful way have you chosen to try and kill me this time?
This time it is different. I thought that we could meet for a proper chat, a glass of wine, just like old friends.
Thanks, but I'll pass.
I can tell you how I do it.
It?
Survive. Always survive. That question has been on my mind too. I think I have an answer.
Go on.
Not like this. I've fed the coordinates into your controls already. I've booked us a lovely table. Till then, old friend.
Sometimes I really should just keep my mouth shut. Doctor, Over here. Good evening, Master. Well, as traps go, this is very posh. As I said earlier, Doctor, this is no trap. I merely wanted us to sit and talk. Let me guess, this is all part of your therapy? Of course. Why should you trust me? I'll put it another way. I rather thought that we could have a meeting of minds on a subject that has confounded both of us. And what would that be? You know very well what that would be. The question of how do we survive? I'll have a last glass of red, please. Splendid. Please, pull up a chair and join me. Thank you. I won't lie, it has been on my mind recently. An encounter I am yet to have with you? You could say that. I would apologize for my future behavior, but I feel it doesn't quite have the same impact if it still happens. All right, then, let's compare notes. How do you do it? Survive? That's right. I have wondered this myself. How can we both survive such impossible odds? Probably because one of us has the superior advantage? Ah, yes. But if that were true, then one of us should be dead. Yet despite our best efforts to destroy each other, here we sit, drinking wine. Oh, cheers, by the way. Good health. Ooh, very cheeky. I have a theory. Go on. What if we are the subjects of a divine power? Could it be that we are subjects to the whim of another? Well, it wouldn't be the first time. The Guardians, the Eternals, the Time Lords, the list goes on. This is true. What is also true is that I should have died long, long ago. Yes, but you wouldn't just let death take you. It's never been your style. That is kind of you to mention. However, I feel it runs deeper than that. I am often haunted by this. I am often haunted by many things. I once believed that only hate kept me alive. But now, perhaps we'll just never know. How will we survive today, only to ask, how will we die tomorrow? Death has always been an uncertainty for the pair of us, it seems. Have we been chosen by gods, or have we promised our souls to the devil? And when will he come to claim his prize? We could always ask him. Have you ever known a pawn to ask the chess master his plan? You should know the answer to that one. You were once the chess master yourself. Once upon an umbrella, perhaps, but these days I am simply a nerdy living tourist. Never fear, Doctor. I feel the next time that we meet, we may even have our answers. The frightening part is, what if you're right? I mean, doesn't that frighten you? Terribly. But I have learned from your good self that it is all part of the adventure. Flatterer. Ah! Alas, my window of opportunity is closing. I suppose you'll leave the bill? On the contrary, I think you've paid enough. This one is on me. I would say never fear, Doctor, we shall meet again, but I think that it would be strangely self-defeating.
I will simply say, take good care, old friend. But I will leave you with this thought. Yes? If you, my dear doctor, are capable of infinite miracles and goodness in the universe, then surely I am capable of infinitely equal and opposite. Would that mean that you couldn't ultimately defeat me because we are more alike than you can admit to yourself? Take care, old friend. Maybe he's right. God's help me. Maybe he's right. Oh well, till then, good health, old friend.
Doctor Who, The Queer Doctor Adventures, Short Story. A Night on Canal Street. Written and performed by James York. It was a usual hot spring night for Manchester. It was bathing in its electrical shower of light and sound. Many fancy and free people didn't notice the blue police box in the corner, next to a shadowy corner to a humming club. In came a stranger in knee-high heel boots and a little Gucci dress. Yes, that little Gucci dress, and a burnt red blazer with a long scarf barely touching the floor. Another man was in a tight striped crop top and had a 1950s Hollywood feel to him. Then a modest woman came out with a strange bangle with a green jewel across it. It almost looked like it was electrical in some way. Bloody hell, Doc! Talk about camp! TJ laughed as he saw so much queerness and pride around him. TJ, welcome to 90s Canal Street. For your birthday, I promised the most lavish, fun, packed night you have ever experienced, the Doctor announced. More fun than that time on Gamma Delta 2? TJ chuckled. Even more, the Doctor whispered, and tapped TJ's nose in an affectionate way. No wonder these apes are going wild. The alcohol levels in this atmosphere are just so dizzy, Cressida sighed. Much as she enjoyed the Doctor and TJ's company, she still had a slight disdain for ape behaviour. Now, where is that Viking of yours? The Doctor wondered before being interrupted by a red-headed figure in the most out-of-place attire you could have seen. Asmund, the Viking, was in a kilt and plaided leather straps with painted blue patterns along his chest. "I am ready to drink with Odin!" roared the Viking. TJ tried to contain his laughter and some deep sexual excitement. Cressida just simply rolled her eyes. "Asmund, sweetie, darling, when I say celebration clothing, I didn't mean that." The doctor exhaled. "But what about them? Over by the little door saying Berba." "What is a Berba?" Asmund pointed out some hairy, tight-leathered men with a harness and dark paint around their eyes. "Oh, for the love of Tom of Finland. Here, just wear this." The doctor flicked a plain white t-shirt and stood with it across to Asmund. "Okay, but just a few adjustments." The Viking ripped the sleeves and half the torso off. His muscles could barely fit it. "Can we go now? Standing here just makes me feel a little silly," Cressida said in a stern tone. "Oh, come on, Cress. You need to loosen up a little. Clubbing's one of the best things to do," TJ added. "Silurians do not do clubbing, and certainly not to this type of noise. Oh, come on, it's my birthday. Please. I only turned 25 once, you know." Cressida smirked and sighed, and the four strangers began to walk on the path, unaware of the slithering eye that was watching them. The bustle of the nightlife surrounded the doctor and his friends as the waves of different people swished and swayed around them. The doctor took a sharp turn and presented a long female figure with his psychic paper. It read, "VIP access," even though it was a blank piece of paper to a well-trained eye. As they stepped down a steep flight of stairs, the dark corridor flooded with disco lights and the whole spectrum of colour stained the dance floor. The doctor, TJ and Asmund all danced through the disco-infused tracks, whilst Cressida sat on the table with some cocktails, though she did tap her feet once in a while. Though she was cold, on the outside she was warming to the idea of apes being free in themselves. Maybe apes aren't that bad after all. TJ wasn't. The doctor was brave and kind, as of any respectable Homo reptilia, even though he was also an intergalactic sentient being, or whatever a Time Lord really was. And Asmund, well, he makes TJ happy, and that's okay. Suddenly, there was commotion at the bar. Cressida could have sensed tension among the two figures. One was a suited man and the other was a tall drag queen. "It's your kind that makes it hard for us," the man in the suit shouted. "Oh, how marvellous. Villainy within our community. That's how they'll get us in the end, you know," the drag queen sparked back in a leather print dress and a fake pearl necklace. "I have every right to sort you out," the man threatened. "Oh, I quiver with fear. Oh, and a dash of allure. Go on then. Go on, do your worst," mocked the drag queen. She readied her keys to scratch her opponent. "I think that's quite enough. Leave this lady at once." Cressida stepped in, her eyes squinted, ready to make a meal out of this hateful hunk of flesh. "The elite is coming, and Mr. Harvard..." The man suddenly felt an ancient fear. The need to run as some pulsating throb came to his head. He ran as fast as he could, tripping over anything that stood in his way. He was gone. "Wow. Them being scared by women. I never thought I'd see the day," the drag queen smirked. "The male sex, yes, may have more strength, but they lack some charm and some very good mind games that us, the female of the species, possess quite naturally." Cressida answered. So, my knight in shining armour, or knightess? Can I get you a drink? Cressida almost began to talk and was about to try a strawberry woo-woo, whatever a woo-woo was, when suddenly a hideous hiss came from the dance floor. TJ could be heard yelling, and Asmund took a bottle of cider and began to chase the hooded figure. TJ ran towards Cressida, almost breathless. It's the dog! He's been kidnapped! TJ gasped. But by who? Cressida snapped. Oh, some cloaked figure! Oh, come on! TJ tugged Cressida as they ran up to the club. Drag Queen rolled her eyes and took a dry martini to perform. The announcer came and called her name. Please welcome the blonde bomb sighter herself, Miss Lily Savage! TJ and Cressida kept following Asmund, who was hot on the trail. They ran as fast as they could. The energy could spark a flame. The hooded figure then tried to blast the rescuers with a laser beam, but the doctor, who was struggling to get out of the claws of the creature, jolted and tripped the laser gun into the sky. The chase climaxed to the edge of a watery stream and a bridge. Let me go! The doctor muffled. Well, you heard the old man. Let him go, TJ shouted. Old man? The doctor sharply remarked. The creature froze and began to stand off. I am here to collect the doctor. He is wanted, and he will stop this oncoming inferno, hissed the creature. Who are you? Come on. I would think twice before you make any sudden movements, Cressida sneered. I am Scorlo, a pteroleptal assassin sent to capture the doctor. Now stay back, Scorlo announced in a deep and dark panic. But why? What has the doctor done? Maybe we can help you, TJ asked. You will lead me to take him to the elite. I ask no more questions, hissed Scorlo as he began to input something into his wrist device. Suddenly, a small ship with a complex cross design appeared. Ship? It looks incredible! The cloaking device on that machine must consume a lot of power. Cressida was in some kind of awe. Now is not the time, the doctor added. Cressida gave it a light hiss in retaliation. Suddenly, Asmund sneaked in and jabbed the sharded bottle into Scorolo's arm. The shriek pierced the surrounding area. The doctor grabbed the gun and stood behind TJ and Cressida. Now, Scorolo, you will tell us exactly what is happening, the doctor ordered. I will do as he says. He doesn't like the word no, Asmund threatened, being grabbed by TJ just in case another fight was about to break out. I have said too much. They will find you. They are making moves. They are making their moves in the future. They will capture you. Scorolo hissed in pain. Who sent you? TJ ordered. Scorolo stayed silent. TJ then swiped the laser out of the doctor's hand. Who? Go on. Say their names, TJ shouted. With such anger, a little speck of yellow almost stained his eyes. Before Scorolo could have said anything, a laser hit his chest. He disintegrated into dust. The doctor sighed and turned around. Thank you, TJ. We should have kept a low profile, the doctor stated. Hey, whatever is out there, we can take them down. No one is going to harm my best friend. Not ever, TJ stated. But how did that creature know we were here? Cressida asked. I don't know, but I think it's best we go back to the TARDIS, the doctor softly suggested as he was looking at the pile of ashes. Shame. I was quite enjoying this Canal Street, Asmund said with a smile. Well, on the way we could get something, TJ said. Well, what is that? Cressida asked. Chips. Like cheesy chips. Oh my goodness, Cress, just you wait. TJ requested with a slight squeal of delight. I think it's best to... Oh, come on. Let's try and end this birthday night on a positive note, Cheesy chips, on me. The Doctor suggested, whilst wrapping his left hand to TJ's shoulder. The TARDIS crew managed to find a little chicken shop by the TARDIS. And they were eating. They enjoyed a few moments of peace, as they were blissfully unaware of another cloaked figure. The figure that shot the pteroleptal. The figure that had watched the whole thing. The figure that was waiting for the right moment, the right time, the right place.
The Metal Doctor, Swap, written by Abby Louise and read by Chelsea Lagan. It can get confusing with me, travelling in a universe which isn't my own. Since the Toymaker threw me here, I've never been sure of any similarities from our reality and this. Sometimes it's the simple things which are different. Scooby-Doo being a cat, no Ozzy Osbourne. Yes, believe me, that difference pains me deeply. No Peter Pan, no mint chocolate chip ice cream. But that's all from the human side. What about the aliens? The Earth invaders? The Zygons? In one lifetime, they had hidden themselves amongst the humans, hiding in plain sight. Sort of. I had no way of knowing if they were scattered within the crowds. Myself, Biscuit and Finchy wanted a chill day. So much had hidden my TARDIS team recently. I thought a trip into London could be fun. So we landed the TARDIS in 2024. I locked the doors and we made our way towards Oxford Street. We filled our faces with burgers and bubble tea. Finchy was still easily fascinated by little things, and her face when she bit into her first burger was a picture. Biscuit told us stories of his life before I magically appeared in his shop. His school, his family. Tilly never really spoke about things like that. She was always pretty private. The sun rose high in the sky as we made our way to one of London's parks. I can't really remember which one, there were so bloody many. Plus, knowing my luck, it was probably one that didn't even exist in my universe. Either way, we sat in the grass, the sun shining down on us. The heat was just right. That's one thing I noticed here. Daisies. You know, those small white petalled flowers with the yellow centres? Well, that's not how they looked here at all. They have blue petals and an orange centre. I found them weirdly beautiful, though. It's strange to think that Biscuit and Finchy had never seen a yellow and white daisy. While we sat in the green grass, our group was quiet. We all felt relaxed. Which, let's face it never happens. This made my Time Lord senses start to tingle. Something was off. Not in a bad way, just in a weird way. Finchy and custard cream. I've never seen them so still. Almost like they were pondering or in deep thought. Biscuit stood out the most, and he was rarely quiet. And as for Tilney, she didn't seem wide-eyed enough. Normally, a plane would fly across the sky and she would study it as it jetted across, pushing its way past the clouds, but now she was just ignoring them. So lads, now what? They turned looking at me, as if I had just materialised beside them. Well, what do you reckon, Doc? Biscuit replied. Well, I had to test them. I had a theory. A theory you probably have already guessed. Hey, do you still remember that little village on Gamma 9? Yes, Miss Doctor, said Tilney. Got to admit, whatever had happened to my TARDIS team, they had definitely done their research. It still makes me chuckle that she called me that. So, I thought maybe we could go back there. Hopefully, this time those creatures would have left. Their eyes met for a wee moment. You know, those alien thingies. They didn't reply straight away. They haven't done as much research as I initially thought. I'd outsmarted them. Already. Damn, that was way too fast. Pretty boring. They could have at least put up a little bit of a fight, but... And when I say fight, I didn't mean a physical one. My wee self up against a fake Biscuit would not have ended well, trust. But no. These were peaceful intruders. So, who are you two? And what have you done with Biscuit and Finchy? I don't get your meaning, Miss Doctor. There she goes again with the Miss Doctor stuff. Well, we've never really been to Gamma 9. I made it up. We can explain, said the fake hobnob. They hadn't attacked me. They hadn't berated me for answers. They hadn't quizzed me about the TARDIS, the Time Lords, Toymaker. All they had done was essentially hang out. Zygons. You're both Zygons, aren't you? And straight away I had answered my previous question. They had silently invaded the Earth in this reality too. We just wanted to see what it was like. What was what like? Being your friend. Well, you didn't have to replace my TARDIS team just to be my friend. Wait a moment. What have you done with the real Finchy and Biscuit? They didn't reply. Where are Duncan and Tilney? I swear, if you've hurt them, this civil conversation isn't going to stay this calm for much longer. I have a sonic screwdriver and I'm not afraid to use it. I pulled my screwdriver out of my leather jacket pocket. I tried to look threatening. I'm pretty sure I managed it. Maybe. They're safe and fine back in the storeroom of the pacing parlour, said Biscuit. Yes, they did. As I was sitting adding a new ear piercing to my collection, they had bundled my team into the cupboard and taken their places. Right. Come on, we are going back and we are getting them. Now. I shouted at them, sounding like a ma scolding their weans. We returned to the parlour a moment later. Unlocking the cupboard, the real Biscuit and Finchy fell out. I stood between the originals and the copies. I really wish I had a camera. Their faces were hilarious. Doc, explain? I will do later, but now you two need to return to whatever your original form was. You can't be Biscuit and Finchy. Having one set of them is quite enough. In slow motion, they changed right in front of us. Their skin folded into itself. Their backs became covered in blobby suckers. If you had blinked, you would have missed the mere seconds they were in that form, before turning into two little old ladies. Their suckers turning into knitted cardigans. I smiled at the sweet old woman in front of me, then signalled to my team that it was time to leave and return to the TARDIS. They had a long list of questions when we arrived back. But, as I normally did, I told them I would explain later. I then tapped in the coordinates for Gamma 9 and started up the materialization circuit. The ship jumped into life, and we set off.
The Doctor sighed as he completed a fifth circuit of the Zero Room. It just wasn't going to happen today, was it? This had become something of a routine for him, a way to get some clarity in his mind. Clarity and clarification. Just walking a circuit around the Zero Room, letting his mind wander until something triggered a memory. Then, to focus on it, he slowly walked in a spiral until he reached the centre of the room, as if to sink deeper and deeper into the memory. Sometimes it didn't work. Sometimes it did. Even then, though, there was a chance it would be a memory that he could actually remember, but he'd done it often enough now to regain some things that he had forgotten. The first time he met Zodin, that time he took Martha? That was her name. The time he took her to Scotland and they ran into Joshi. Or was it Jimi? That young chap he travelled with in his earlier days. His mind clouded again. It was no good. Sadly, today was one of those days when it didn't work. But he didn't like to admit defeat. The trouble with the Zero Room was that it was meant to help clear your mind, but lately his mind has been both simultaneously jumbled and worryingly devoid of many memories he should still have. Maybe he just needed to give his brain a jump start, and seeing as he wasn't trying to find any specific memory, any starting point would do. Just something to focus on. Perhaps a walk around the orrery. All those stars and constellations, see if any of them took his particular fancy, then come back here and see what evoked in his mind. Or maybe the botanical gardens. Make use of the good olfactory memory. The weather was always a pleasant summer's day, but since he'd set that particular TARDIS room to localised Earth Standard Time, it meant that things would bloom all year round. Yes, if his memory served. Now, there was an ironic choice of phrase. It would be about early August in there now. The roses would be in bloom, and they smelt so lovely this time of rose. His step almost faltered as the word burst into his mind like a thunderclap, and like a lightning, an image flashed across his mind. 2 people, but the image was tinted blue. He continued to circle the room. Now, almost imperceptibly, he began to move slightly closer into it with each step. "Oh, come on now, Doctor," he thought to himself. Don't get distracted. Don't lose it." He focused on the word, rose, and the image. 2 people, but their features were bright, and the whole image tinted blue as if under a dark light. Blue rose? The Doctor thought inwardly. An appropriate summary of my life right now. And no, don't get distracted. Don't lose it. He focused again. 2 people, bright features, blue tint. Think backward, reverse the image. That was it. He was seeing it like a negative. Concentrate. Think about what you're seeing. If blue is the negative, then... The image flashed again, but now it had changed colour. The blue tint was gone, replaced by a yellowish gold tint. The 2 people's features became clearer, but still hazy. One was a tall, skinny man. Skinny man. That rang a bell. He was dressed in a brown suit. Pinstripe? No, tartan. He had a shock of brown hair and a face that seemed very familiar, as if he'd seen it more than once. Had that been him at some time or other? Next to him stood a tall woman, skin darker than his, and with large curls of hair tied up with a red scarf. Rose. The word flashed in his mind again when he looked at her. He was almost certain now that the man was him. He'd travelled with a Rose, hadn't he? But, no. That Rose was shorter and blonde. But hadn't there been another? He tried to think back to when he knew this woman who had travelled with him. Had travelled? No. He'd stopped travelling when he met her, but then he did travel with her, didn't he? His mind clouded as he tried to focus on the people. This was no good. He was getting sidetracked again. Remembering who he was and who he travelled with wasn't important. It was the event, the memory he needed to focus on. If that came, then so would they. He took a deep breath and focused his mind on the image again, the golden hue of it. Golden rose. Gold was important. Rose was still a mystery, but it was something to do with gold. He needed to work out what was happening in this image, but the people's faces swam before him, trying to distract him, to be identified. Calm, Doctor, he thought to himself. You need to put something in their place, for the time being at least. Yes, that was the solution. If that man were indeed him, and the woman his companion, then it was simple. He focused on the image again. Only now he saw himself in place of the man, the other him. And the young woman next to him was Nevaeh. The scene suddenly shifted, spinning. Now he was looking through the man's eyes. They were walking down a long corridor, metal, with many pipes and cables running its length. It wasn't lit in gold, though. Overhead lights building into the cell lit the expanse with a dull glow, Occasionally one flickered. The young woman, no, Nevaeh now, was looking on in disbelief around her, amazed. "It's incredible," she said. "Mum told me all about the places you two visited, but to actually see it firsthand, it's... He heard himself laugh. "Yes," he said. "Yes, it is." She turned on him, her eyes filled with excitement. "So, why are we here? Some kind of distress signal? An evil force needing to be stopped?" He laughed again. "We're here because this is about the furthest from trouble I thought we could get." She pouted, but mockingly, as they approached the door at the end of the corridor. "Where's the fun in that?" The doctor smiled, knowing what came next. "Right here." He pushed a button next to the door, revealing the large room beyond. Banks of computers stood in large rows, terminals dotted at random intervals between them, and a large screen hung over the room on the left side. But Nevaeh was oblivious to all of this, as her attention was focused on the large window which dominated one of the walls of the room. Beyond it, the vastness of space stretched out before them. Twinkling stars dotted the darkness, and 3 planets, each with their own moons slowly circling them, hung in the expanse. Between them, large streams of energy flowed, and she noticed, as the room turned, more planets, each connected with another stream, came into view. She put her hand to the glass, almost not believing it was real. "Where are we?" "On the edge of the eastern spiral arm of your galaxy," the doctor said, coming to stand next to her. "Give or take a few light years. And this place," he gestured around the room, "is a remote monitoring station. 708th century, part of the Galactic Peace Corps. There's one in every arm of the galaxy to, as their motto goes, protect, serve and maintain the peace of Mutter's spiral. They never really quite managed it, but the sentiment's a nice one, and most races in the galaxy agree that these stations are neutral territory." "So that's why you brought me here. It's a safe space." He looked around at her. "I know, it's maybe not as exciting as you'd have liked, but no." She cut him off, turning to smile at him. "It's nice. Not enough people have safe spaces these days." The doctor smiled, and he had a sudden jolt in his mind, like a memory within a memory, as if he, that is to say this other him, was thinking of something else, a garden, with other people there. Who were they? The doctor shook himself. Don't get distracted," he told himself again. He focused back on the memory, but it was slightly different now, almost as if it had been running on without him. Himself and Nevaeh now stood at one of the terminals, next to one of the banks of computers. On it, an orange light blinked. "What's that?" she said. "No idea," he replied, and began to push buttons at random. "But one of these must have something to do with it." They both jumped as the room was filled with the sound of a sudden burst of static, and the large screen flickered into life. Across it flashed several letters and numbers, coordinates, spatial vectors, and all sorts of other things Nevaeh didn't understand. The doctor, however, was tapping away on the keyboard, a look of intense concentration on his face. "Trouble?" Nevaeh asked. She didn't quite manage to hide the hopeful glee in her voice. "Some sort of distress signal," he replied, and, grabbing his sonic, he pointed it at the monitor high above them. Through the bursts of static, an image appeared of a person, but it was an impossible person. On the screen was an almost exact replica of the woman next to him, or at least the woman who Nevaeh now stood in place of. Almost exact, because the most noticeable thing about her was that she was gold in colour. From her hair to her clothing. Her eyes as well, they were large and bulbous, but blank. Her lips moved, but no sound emerged. The doctor's mind swam again. It reminded him of something. Something he'd seen and met before. "What is that, Doctor?" Nevaeh asked. Now he, or his memory of him, was fiddling with his sonic screwdriver again, slowly, and cutting in and out, the voice of the gold woman echoed around the room. Help me. Time loop. Trapped. Help me. Doctor. What do they want, Doctor? Nevaeh asked. And why? She paused uneasily. Why does it look like me? It didn't look anything like Nevaeh, but he had to remind himself that she was speaking someone else's words, the other woman accompanying this other him in the memory. As for the why, it's a trick, he said, and even he was surprised with the gruffness of his tone. That same muffled word again, have the ability to take on other forms, but they're weakened right now, which is why it still only looks partially like you, but they're desperate enough to hope it works. And the what? She asked. The doctor hung his head. A long time ago, many years ago, I stopped them invading Earth. They wanted to suck it dry of all its energy because they're just a bunch of parasitic scavengers. Thankfully, with the help of some friends, although one of them is debatable, we were able to trap them in a time loop. They've tried to escape before, but I still stopped them then too. This is just their latest attempt. He looked back up at the golden woman on the screen. They clearly wanted to try and convince me that that is you, to break the time lock. He smiled, and Nevaeh couldn't help but notice there was a hint of grim satisfaction in it. Maybe in days gone by I would have helped them, tried to redeem them, likely gotten in something very dangerous and probably ended up saving the day, but at a cost. He pointed his sonic at the terminal again, and with a quick buzz, the image on the screen disappeared. But not anymore. I'm retired. I'm here to see the universe, not get involved. He laughed loudly. I guess the Time Lords finally won that one. The Doctor not willing to interfere. She smiled, but it faltered as he turned to leave. Wait, that's it. But what if someone else comes here? What if they manage to trick someone else into letting them out? He turned back to her. Don't worry, I thought about that. I'm still out there somewhere, remember? My post-rehab self. I left him a little signal with this. He waggled his sonic in his hand. He'll pick it up eventually, and then he can deal with it. He looked past her and out the window at the magnificent view opposite. I can rest assured the future, both mine and the universe's, are in safe hands. He turned and strolled towards the door, back to the corridor. Doctor, Nevaeh said. He turned back to her. Yes? He questioned. She looked puzzled. I didn't say anything. Doctor, Nevaeh's voice rang in his head, but it wasn't the Nevaeh in the memory. He heard the voice, but her mouth was still. He looked up at the big screen, expecting to see the golden woman there again, but it was blank. He looked back to Nevaeh. Doctor, are you all right? Like a bungee tether, he felt himself pulled back, out of the other him, out of the room, down the corridor, and suddenly his eyes snapped open to see Nevaeh, the real Nevaeh, crouching down next to him, her hand on his shoulder. He was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the floor of the zero room. Almost immediately, the memory began to fade. He had to remember. It might not have been a particularly relevant memory, but anything he could remember these days felt more relevant than ever. He's been with Nevaeh on some sort of space station, but it wasn't Nevaeh, was it? No. And he hadn't been him. It was a younger him. And the woman he was travelling with was her name again? Rowena, Roseanne, Ruby. He looked over to the young woman next to him. What was her name? Nevaeh, he questioned, almost surprised to see her. She smiled. The one and only, as she helped him to his feet. You've been in here for hours. She noticed his look of confusion as he struggled to keep hold of the memory. Sorry, did I interrupt something? Yes, he replied with a sigh, but it's okay. It's nice to know it's still all in there somewhere, even if I can't remember it. She smiled sympathetically. Well, you told me to come and get you when the TARDIS had finished those calculations. He returned the smile, but didn't meet her gaze. Still partially lost in thought, trying to remember. Yes, thank you, Nevaeh. I'll be along shortly. I just need to gather my thoughts for a moment. She gave his arm a quick squeeze of reassurance as she turned to leave. Well, as long as you're sure you're okay, I'll see you back in the console room. Axities? Exons? What had been the name of that thing that looked like the other woman? He strained his mind. He knew her name began with R, but it was gone. He sighed, running his hands over his face. He needed some fresh air. The Zero Room was designed to make you feel at ease, but it was still just a room. Maybe he'd take a detour through the botanical gardens on his way back to the console room. It was still just another room, but it felt like being outside. Putting his hand in his pockets, he strolled towards the door and down the long TARDIS corridor. There was something else too, something pulling at the back of his mind. But that was his life these days, so many memories, but none in mind. Coming to a halt, he pushed open the door to the gardens. Also, immediately, and without thinking, he noticed two things. The bright gold hue that the artificial sunlight cast over the garden, and a sweet scent in the air of a particular flower. Roses, if he wasn't much mistaken.
Let's go hiking in the mountains of Germany, you said. It'll be a right laugh investigating those Bigfoot rumors. Seriously, Hells, we need to turn back. I can barely see my hand in front of my face in this blizzard.
It's not far now. According to the map, there's a small plateau just up ahead. We can set up camp there until the weather dies down.
How you can even see that damn map in this river is beyond me. If I'd known it was going to be this bad, I'd have packed extra layers.
Oh, shut your face. And incidentally, it's Yeti.
What?
We're looking for Yeti, not Bigfoot. Too consistently cold for them here. They prefer slightly more varied climates. Honestly, call yourself a cryptid hunter.
Damn well, freezing is what I call myself.
Well, you can stop complaining. Judging by the flatness of this ground, we're on the plateau.
Wonderful. Can we please pitch up now and get the kettle on? This weather isn't shifting anytime soon.
In a moment. We just need to get a bit farther away from the edge and then...
What is it?
Up there on that ridge.
What ridge? I can barely only just see you.
Above us, I thought I saw something, like a blue shape.
Probably just a trick of the light, patterns in the snowfall. I doubt Bigfoot has started to dye his fur.
Yeti.
Yeah. Come on. Let's at least get a bit closer to that overhang underneath it. It might provide some cover. Well, that's better than nothing. And at least we got a little bit of shelter and a less obscured view. Come on, let's get the tent set up.
Shh. Please tell me you heard that.
Of course I did. It came from that direction. Can you see anything?
No, it's too... Wait. Eddie, look! There!
No. It can't be. Is that... Bigfoot?
Oh, for God's sakes. Yeti!
Whatever! I have to say I was expecting it to be bigger.
Me too. What's it doing?
It's hard to see. It looks like it's picking things out of the snow.
I think we could capture it.
Are you mad?
Well, there's two of us, one of it. You'll never hear us creeping up in this weather, and like you said, it's not very big. It might only be a baby. Grab the rope. We can tie it up.
This is insane.
Shh. Right. Get ready. Now!
What are you doing? We got it.
Don't just stand there. Tie it up while it's down.
Don't tie it up. It can talk?
Wait. Turn it over.
Oh my god, it's a man.
In a fur coat.
You two mind? You nearly knocked over my snowman.
Doctor? Doctor? Are you alright?
Yes, I'm fine, Traxie. I just ran into, Actually, who are you two? You don't look like locals. Hikers?
We're cryptid hunters. Who are you?
I am the Doctor.
And what are you doing here? Are you looking for Bigfoot too?
Yeti.
Yeti.
Yes, I am. And you said cryptid hunters, so I'm guessing you two are too?
We've been trying to tick the Yeti off our list for years, but there's been so few confirmed sightings. The last really credible one we found was in Tibet about 43 years ago.
Yeah, we don't subscribe to those silly London Underground claims like some of those crazies out there.
Oh, you'd be surprised the truth there can be in some things. And take it from me, that's not the only times they've been seen, but UNIT keeps them over that. Hush, hush.
Doctor, we really don't have time for this?
Yes, of course. Sorry. Look, you two, I suggest heading back down the mountain. It's not safe here.
Not on your life! We had this trip planned for months, and I've not climbed halfway up a mountain in Germany just to turn back now.
Doctor, I'm picking up some readings.
Where?
To your north, maybe 200 yards away.
Okay, then we don't have long. Keep telling me how close it's getting.
Who are you talking to?
A friend of mine. She's keeping watch from our hut up on the ridge.
Uh-huh. Is it blue by any chance? I think I saw it before.
Any chance we could hunker down in there until the weather passes?
Yes, it is, and no, you can't. Besides, if you let me get on with what I need to do, then the weather won't be an issue anymore.
175 yards.
Oh, damn it. You two, grab some snow and start adding it to the pile.
To your snowman?
Forget about the snowman. I was getting bored. Just make the pile as big as you can.
Why are you piling up the snow like this?
There's something in this pile. It looks like metal spheres.
Yeah, don't touch them. Just leave them be and keep on piling.
150 yards.
But what are they?
They're control spheres created by the great intelligence to control the Yetis.
Control the Yetis? What do you mean control?
100 yards.
Oh, damn it. It's gaining ground. Keep piling.
But what do you mean control?
I will explain that later. We've got bigger priorities right now.
75 yards.
Is this enough yet?
Oh, it'll have to be. Right, stand back. Right, that should do it. Now for phase 2.
50 yards.
What's phase 2?
I'm fluctuating the temperature, melting the ice, and then refreezing it. Then once it becomes ice, I can use the sonic vibrations to crack it and the control spheres.
25 yards.
Will that work?
I have absolutely no idea. Let's find out.
It's not working.
10 yards.
Look! There it is!
Jeez, it's huge! What do we do?
Just stay calm.
5 yards.
Yep, no need to call it out anymore. We can see it.
Do something!
I'm trying. Oh, there you go. Oh, nothing to worry about.
Doctor? Is everything okay? I noticed the weather died down.
Yep, we're all good, Traxia. Now that our abominable Arctic adversary is no more, there's no need for the atmospheric cloak to carry on.
But we're not in the Arctic?
No. I meant Arctic because it's, cold, snow, and it's a wordplay. Oh, shut your face.
Oh, I can't believe it. You captured a real-life Yeti. Wait until everyone at the Cryptid Investigative Association finds out about this.
The Cryptid... You're part of the CIA.
Oh, the irony.
Oh, I bet you they planned this. The coordinator thinks she's so funny.
Well, we did what we came here to do. Are you on your way back at least?
Are you not coming to give me a hand with the fun part then?
Not on your lives.
No, I didn't think so. Right, you two. It's been interesting, but I've got to lug this thing back up to my hut. Hope the rest of your climb goes well. Oh, God, this thing's heavy.
Hold on a moment, you can't take that. We need it. Is why we came here.
He's right. Besides, if we can contain it now whilst it's unconscious, we can make one hell of an attraction out of it.
Putting aside the obvious problem of how you expect to get an 8-foot Yeti all the way back down the mountain between the two of you without it waking up, I feel like I should point out at this point it's not going to wake up.
You killed it?
You can't kill what was never alive in the first place. Pass me a knife.
Here.
Okay. There, see? No flesh or blood, just metal and wire.
So it's a
robot?
Yes, on that, you are correct, my friend. Alright, I suppose I owe you an explanation. These Yeti are the robot servants of a being called the Great Intelligence. It uses them as a kind of fear tactic to scare people away or kill those feeling particularly brave. I've never been entirely certain on what its ultimate goal is, but it seems to have a thing for the cold. Anyway, we, that is to say myself and my friend, got wind of a Yeti operating in this area, so here we are to investigate in case it leads to some larger plan. All those spheres we destroyed, they were like a sort of beacon, if you like, to give it orders. Without that, it just stops functioning, and...
So, what do you plan to do with it now?
Oh, I've got some equipment in my... do you know what? The hell with it. Within my ship that will help.
Ship?
Yes, you know what? It's alien. So am I. I doubt you two have any problems with credulity. Anyway, I can use some of it to get some readings and with any luck find out what it was meant to be doing here.
So, after all that, we still go away empty-handed?
Nothing new there then.
I know, but still, I had a really good feeling about this trip. This is really gonna be the one that we found proof.
I tell you what, hang on a minute. Just right. Your knife back and take this. It might not be Yeti, but believe me when I tell you that that bit of fur will defy all testing of known animals. That should keep your association happy.
Really? Thank you.
This is amazing. We'll get on the lecture circuit with this. Let's see them hush this up.
Ah, yes. Well, if you do that, you might find that you will get some attention from the authorities. Well, I say authorities, they're friends of mine. If that happens, just ask to speak to Kate Stewart or Alistair III. I'm not quite sure what year we're in right now. Either way, just tell them that you got it from the doctor, and if they still don't believe you, tell them to look for a TARDIS trace here, today's date, at this mountain.
A what trace?
I think I've confused you enough for today. Just trust me. Now, on that note, I really must get on. Lovely to meet you both, and take care back down the mountain. Right, come on, you. Oh, God, this thing's out.
You know how we always joke about how if we did find something, no one would ever believe us?
They're really never gonna believe any of this.